All right, hi everyone. Welcome to Google Classroom and AI Made Easy. My name is Chris Justice. I'm a coordinator with the Digital Learning and Instructional Technology Department here in Clark County School District. I've been an educator for 16 years, and I love using instructional technology in my classroom. It was a really great way for me to very easily get my assignments out to students. I used Canvas, but I'm a huge fan of Google Classroom now that it's going to be turned on for most of our schools out there next school year. So I'd probably be making the transition, or if my school site administrator allowed it, I'd probably use some combination of both platforms. But I think that's kind of a controversial statement. Depends on yeah, I guess your school site administrators. But anyway, so yeah, like I said about those school site administrators, there may or may not have been conversations about turning on Google Classroom for your school site next school year. If you are not aware, like there's a chance that you might not actually have access to it. So chat with your principal and join that conversation, and then contact our department to make sure that you guys have access. Now, as teachers and instructors and educators here in the district, all of us do have access to Classroom. In fact, it never actually shut off for teacher use. It's the the student's ability to log in and access it that was turned off. So that's going to be rectified next school year at a lot of these school sites throughout the district. And so, hey, we might need to remind ourselves how to use it if we were using it prior to the pandemic, or if this is brand new to you. There's a lot of really cool stuff about it. So let's get started here in today's session. We're learning how to navigate some of the AI tools within Google Classroom to streamline lesson planning and create interactive, accessible digital handouts. And then we'll know that we were successful if we can utilize AI integrated workflows and accessibility features within Classroom to design, format, and distribute instructional materials that enhance student engagement and classroom management. Basically, we'll know if we're successful if we can use Classroom. All right, take a look at our agenda here. Today, we're going to set up a Google Classroom, and we're going to call it a sandbox. It kind of like, similar to what Canvas we have in Canvas is the sandbox is an area that we can play around with. There's no students inside of a sandbox. We can make mistakes in it. We can build out some of our materials without fear of publishing it out to 150 kids. And so we're going to create one here and explore some of those features from this teacher's perspective. And then, after about 10 minutes or so of chatting about it, we'll create a mini unit. And I've got a pretty ambitious set of items that we'll cover. Where first off, I'd like to ask you to choose a topic or a standard that you'd like to build some materials for, maybe something that you'll be doing in August with your students. If you can't think of anything, maybe just how about good old-fashioned study skills could be your topic, right? Something like that, something easy, or choose an actual standard, and we'll go from there, right? So start thinking about that as I go through this agenda. We'll use some AI in Gemini to craft a compelling hook for that topic or standard that you've chosen. We will create a visual and then write alternative text for the image. We'll create and assign a Google Doc handout that will write some informational text. We'll format the doc, add your image from earlier, include the alt text. We'll assign the handout in Classroom. We'll create and assign a quiz, and we'll create and add a gem to your classroom. Sounds like a lot, and I'm like reading this. How are we going to pull this off in 60 minutes? And I've got to always remember that we've got, a special productivity tool in our back pocket called artificial intelligence. Gemini is going to help us out with a lot of this heavy lifting, so we'll be able to get through, I'm thinking, on the next 56 minutes. So let's get into Classroom. I gave you guys, if you're just joining us, I gave you a link to get to classroom.google.com. I put it into the chat again. Go ahead and click that open. Of course, if you're just on Chrome, let me show you how you can find it. Take a look at, if you're using MyMeet here as the visual, take a look in the upper right-hand corner, that waffle, that 3x3 grid with all the Google apps. I click on that, and Classroom should be listed for one of them. If it's not, notice, I don't know if you've seen this before, but you can edit the order of these different tools. So if Classroom is, buried down deep in the Google Apps, you can bring it up to the top here and then reposition it. And that's how you can also get to Classroom. All right. You can see here I've got quite a few classrooms. Some of them are sandboxes from my previous facilitation of this. I've been using these classrooms here with some of my virtual PLs, because it's a great way to get GEM and Notebook LM links out to students and participants. And this is what it will look like here next school year too. If your school site has turned on Classroom, what's really neat is that you won't actually have to create any classrooms at all. They'll automatically be populated from Infinite Campus. So if you have 5 sections of biology honors, then those 5 sections of biology honors will show up within your classroom. Part of the problem too is that, like, next school year you'll have 5 more, and they start to build up. You can actually archive these. Let me show you how to do that. So we're calling this like the dashboard view, if you can imagine. And I want to archive this old sandbox, the one from my last time I did this session. So I'll just click on that vertical ellipsis, those 3 dots, and I can archive it to remove it. That kind of allows me to do some bulk or archiving here too if I wanted to. I'll just do that one though. So we'll click next. And it's not like I'm deleting them. This course now exists in my archive area. So on this navigation panel on the left side, the sidebar, I can still see all of my old archived classes. And from there, I can actually delete them. So once I do that, boom, it's gone forever. But you might not want to do that, because we're not limited by the amount of data that we can have stored within our Google Workspace products. Anyway, but yeah, so I can delete them, or I can restore them if I made a mistake. All right, you can also access all of your courses on that sidebar too, right? There's one that I was using yesterday. And there's one for Notebook LM. Let me come back here to home. Also, look at that sidebar here too. Look at that 4th link down from the top. This is the Gemini. We can go to gemini.google.com, sure, and we might actually do that later on. But we can access Gemini directly from that sidebar too. And there's some really great features. I actually love this a lot more, the ease of this, a lot more than having to do it old school, old fashioned by going to gemini.google.com, right? This actually already kind of has some of the prompts built in, some of these tools. We're going to use generate a quiz. We're going to write some informational text today. We'll craft a compelling hook. And we'll do all of that within the help of this area. Is there one here where I can create? Yeah, and down here are some additional ones, like visualize a concept. I think that's what we're going to do, like create an infographic. So we'll use some of these. And this, I click on create an infographic. That'll actually pull this up and help me organize some of those foundational pieces of information, like that topic that I asked you guys to start thinking about when we start to use some of these tools. Let's go back though. That's a little preview of where we're going to go in a second. Let's go back to our dashboard by clicking on home in the upper left-hand corner. By the way, if your sidebar doesn't look like it does right now in the Meet visual where I am, you might need to notice I can open up that sidebar by clicking on those 3 lines in the very upper left. I might need to open it up if it doesn't look 100%. Okay, like I said, you won't have to do this next school year. What we're about to do is create a new class. Your courses will all be rostered. In fact, all the students will be automatically entered into these automatically created courses as well, which is really cool, I think, right? So as students enroll or leave your course sections, You won't have to physically manually add or remove them yourself. It'll all be handled. That's a new thing from prior to the pandemic. So what we're about to do, which is use that plus sign in the upper right-hand corner, create a class. We won't have to do this next school year. We're just going to do this, though, to create that sandbox. So in the upper, if you're looking at classroom.google.com, I want you to click on that plus sign in the upper right-hand corner. We'll click on Create Class. It's going to say, hey, do you want to import anything from your student information services network from IC, Infinite Campus? No, we're going to skip that. And then let's call this Sandbox. And for me, just so I can remember, I'm going to type in the date, which you don't have to do. But next time I do that, I'm going to archive this class, right? Just like I did last time. Helps me remember. So if you want to create like a sandbox for 26-27 school year, it's not a bad idea. Labeling it. You can skip all the rest of it, sections and levels, all that good stuff. We'll click on Create. And now we've got a sandbox. Who did I lose? Questions, issues. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're like, I'm there with you, Chris. Okay, that's what I'm liking.
Chris?
Yes.
I missed that small part. I'm sorry. Can you show me that again?
Sure thing. So from the home, from classroom.google.com, and I'll put that link into the chat again. In the upper right-hand corner is a plus sign. It's right next to that waffle, that 3x3 grid, right? So we'll click on that plus sign, and then we'll click on Create Class. All right. That's what we'll type in sandbox, whatever you want to name it. I'm calling it a sandbox just because it's like that's what we call the Canvas versions of it, right? Look at this. So when your students enter into one of these classrooms, this is the first like tab they'll be on. Look at the tabs at the top: Stream, Classwork. Your students might not have people or analytics. They'll have grades once you start to have assignments in there. But the Stream is always the first one. Stream is kind of like, it's not, I wish it was actually Classwork was the first thing that students saw. The Stream is this chronological kind of Facebook style view of all the material. So as you start to add in assignments or different course materials, it'll show up in this Stream based off of the date and time that you add them. So let's click on now, if you're looking at the top tabs there, we're on Stream, let's click on Classwork. This is where you can organize those materials a little bit more. Click on Create. And I want you to, so we're on Classwork. We clicked on that blue button, Create. We can create assignments. We can make quizzes. We can add a question, like a poll question that students might have to answer. You know, in Canvas world, we can add pages, and the pages can be content. We don't really have that here in Classroom, but we can add materials. So like if our page of content existed as a PDF or as a Google Doc, we can add that, or a slide deck. We can add that in as material. Note that I can also reuse posts. So let's say that I'm building something in my sandbox here. Click on reuse post. If you're looking at my visual here in the Meet, click on reuse post. I can pull up like other sandboxes, find assignments and resources from that, add them into one of my other sections. So that's kind of a cool thing, right? So if you make something today that you're proud of that you'd like to use in August, you can click in your new class, you can click on Create, Reuse Post, and then pull that resource in to your new section, which is kind of great. Let me click on Create again. This is a really easy way to get a notebook LM and a GEM out to students if you're one of those schools that will have AI turned on for your students. And we'll actually create a GEM later on. It's by create a GEM, it's really great. Just click a couple buttons, boom, you're done. I want you to, though, let's click and create a new topic. And what I'd like you to do is type in the topic name. Again, if you can't think of anything, just take study skills for middle school or whatever grade level you teach. For me, I used to teach AP Environmental Science, and so I'm going to do topic 7.3, thermal inversions. I want you to choose any topic, any standard that you want to teach in August, and then create that topic. Now in Canvas, if you're familiar with Canvas, we call these modules, right? Here in Classroom World, they're called topics. We can add materials, we can add assignments and quizzes to those individual topics, which is pretty cool. All right, and then the other tabs, pretty straightforward. Once you start to have assignments in there, grades will start to show up here. If you have rostered students, their grades for those individual assignments will start to show up. Same thing with the people. You'll be able to see all the students that exist within these different areas. I love analytics. This is a really cool way to keep students honest, I suppose, because you can look to see their course participation and what they have or have not been doing last time they accessed some of the things, even. Pretty cool stuff. All right, let's go back to Stream. I wanted to point this out too while I still had some time. Take a look here at the banner. If you're looking at my screen, that's fine. If you're looking at your classroom and I'm just narrating, click on Stream and then find where it says Customize on that banner picture. Click Customize. We can change that photo. We can change the color. Let's find, I'm gonna change mine. I think you can even upload. Was that an option? Yeah, I can upload an image if I wanted to. Change the different colors. Kind of cool. Customize it. I would do this probably because I had 5 different periods. One of the things that we can't do in Classroom that we can in Canvas, we can't cross-list our courses. So that was what I was going to say. If I want to differentiate my 5 different periods of whatever subject I'm teaching, I can have 5 different banners or colors that I can use to help me remember to keep everything in track. But yeah, we can't actually, just like in Canvas, we can run all of our sections through one section through a process called cross-listing. That process doesn't happen in Classroom. But Google actually made it relatively easy to add materials into all of your sections, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. All right, so that was a little overview. Any questions about Classroom for many of you out there? Folks, good to see you, by the way. A lot of you guys have your cameras on. Thank you. You guys are ready to move forward? Brandy says, will the grades transfer? Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. Brandy brings up a good question, and it will happen. This is one of the great things. So just as much as our courses and students will be rostered through what we have in Infinite Campus, they'll match. Any of the assignments that we put into Classroom, we'll be able to send to Infinite Campus along with those grades. So this is one of the biggest reasons why we're, yeah, Joanna, exactly. This is one of the biggest reasons why we're turning it back on, is because that functionality didn't exist prior to the pandemic. And so it became like too much. Like I'm gonna put grades into Classroom and then also into Infinite Campus, it's too much work. This is really helping us to streamline. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I would embrace Classroom as a classroom teacher. All right, that was a great question. Any other questions, put into the chat and we'll get to them. Let me go back to my agenda, see what we're doing next. This is actually really cool. I would be doing this every morning, crafting a compelling hook for your topic or standard. Right, I didn't get kids engaged with this stuff, right? So you have to come up with all of these crazy ideas, right? Or spend hours outside of your class time coming up with ways to get kids engaged with your content, and AI helps us really easily to brainstorm those. That's what I love about AI and the productivity aspect of it. Like AI can't make the magic, right? You can't teach anybody anything. That's the magic of the teacher, right? But what AI can do is help us like make it different for us every single day. That's the hard thing that I found about being a teacher, is doing the same thing every single year. For me, I started to get a little, like, antsy. I switch it up. I want to do something different every day because I want to keep everybody on their feet. One, two, I want to make it interesting for me. And that's what AI does, is it helps me think of ideas and brainstorm ideas. So this, I would be doing this every morning before I come in. Let's from that sidebar on the left side, click on Gemini, that fourth link down from the top left, where we were earlier. Let me put the link in. It's just classroom.google.com/AI. I put that link into the chat. Let's find the yellow button, the one that says craft a compelling hook. Click on that. And then type in the grade that you're going to teach, and then your this topic standard. You know, if you had like a set of objectives, you can paste those in here too. So just take a moment. I want you to type in the topic or standard that you're working with. You can upload some material. So if you have a slide deck that goes along with your topic, you can upload that, add it, attach it. And then what I really love about this is how you want to engage your students. I think all kids, they're all sitting in those desks all day. So when they get to my class, we're going to be doing something where they're getting out of those seats, right? So a little bit of movement and activity. So I'll choose that. I want you to choose one of those ways that we can engage the students. All kind of interesting ways to do it. Spark curiosity would be, I wonder if I can combine. Let's do that. Choose two, see what happens. Oh, I love to, you can write a custom engagement type. All right, let's click in generate. What AI will do here, Gemini will create 6 different versions, hooks, that we can choose from. We don't have to do all of them. That's why I'm like, this is a great brainstorming partner, right? And every single time I've done this class, I always see like, oh, actually, I would do this one. You know, it sounds interesting. Yeah, Annie's into it. Pretty cool stuff. Take a look at the bottom. So scroll down to the bottom, look at the bottom right to export to docs. I'm like, you know what? We're going to do something different each period. Oh my gosh. But I can export this to docs and save it. If I don't do that, the craft a compelling hook, once I like move away from that page, all of those ideas go away. But yeah, I don't know. Notice that the materials oftentimes are just things that you're going to have in your classroom, and there's always a couple, it seems, that have like nothing that I'm required. Like for me, it's this one, materials, none. Perfect. That's the one I need. You know. All right, or like sticky notes. Oh my gosh. All right, pretty cool. How about this? Let's copy. So I want you to select one. Let me go back to my classroom. So I start to have too many tabs. I'm just going to get rid of that doc. It's too much. I'll just go back to where I had all 6 of those hooks. And then I want to find just one of them. Here's what we're going to do. I want you to mouse over. Look at the little, the 2 rectangles that represent the concept of copying. I want you to click on those, like one of them, and then copy the text. Suppose you can also, like, you know, select the text, Command C, copy it. Let's go back to our class, our sandbox. I want you to remember, you can access the sandbox from that sidebar, all the links to your different courses. All right. Notice that we're always confronted first with the stream, but that's a good thing. In this case, let's click on new announcement. So we went back to our sandbox. From stream, we'll click new announcement. And then let's paste in that activity. And then maybe format it a little bit. Notice we've got the ability to format. Maybe I've got like a bolded title Students don't necessarily need to know, well, I'm going to leave the materials as none. That'll remind me as the teacher. All right. Everyone come back to my meet. I want you to look at my visual, please. I mentioned before we don't cross list, but this is how I can get that sandbox. I'm sorry. This is how I can get that announcement for assignments or quizzes to all of my different sections. So look at my meet screen here for the visual and notice that I can choose to put this announcement in all of my different sections if I wanted to, which is cool, right? So here's the problem. Make sure it's 100%, right? If you see an error or you made a mistake or something like that, you'll have to go back, you push post, you'll have to go back to each one of those individual sections and fix them. There's no like master's fix or something like that, right? You have to do it individually. So make sure when you push that post button, it's 100%. Notice too, we can add, maybe a slide deck from Drive. Joy, where can you see it? You can see it by going back to your sandbox and then make sure that you're on Stream. Stream is one of those tab options at the top. And then there should, underneath that banner for your course on Stream, there should be a button that says Announcement. I'll show you in a moment. It's being hidden right now by this panel if you're looking at my Meet screen. All right, this is what I wanted to show you here too. This is kind of cool. So I could just push post and be done with it, boom. But that second period happens at 12 p.m. or something like that, right? I can actually stagger this announcement. So I'll click on, look at my Meet screen for the visual. Click on Save Options, and I can actually schedule this to go out, right? Kind of cool. So not just the date, but also the time. So maybe goes for that section tomorrow at 8. This one will be at 9. And then this one will be at 10 because that's third period, right? Pretty cool. So once I click schedule, I've now staggered that out. That's kind of a neat thing because if you didn't do that and you put an announcement out that was available to all of your periods, fifth period can start getting into it right away, right? But if you stagger that when you send it out or when it's available, I suppose, then they won't see it until the time that you've indicated. Now, to answer Joy's question, look at the Meet visual, please. Where do you find new announcements? There's a button right here. Where am I? I'm in my sandbox. I'm on the Stream tab. New announcement. All right. There you go, folks. Remember, I'm also recording this here too, so if I'm going too fast, please note I'm going to make this video available to you tomorrow. Let's create a visual and then write alt text. And maybe we'll skip that part because I'm looking at the time here, but let's create the visual at least, okay? So let's go back to Annie. I've sent out the video for one of my sessions. I'm still working on the 1 p.m. session. So if you were in my PM session yesterday, by the end of today. All right, yeah, through email. All right, folks, let's go back to Gemini. So Gemini is from the sidebar, the fourth link down. We'll click on Gemini. And I want to click on, how about one of these, like visualize a concept, find one of the, scroll down to the bottom from Gemini, find the area that it says start with a prompt in Gemini for education. Click on create an image to spark discussion, create an infographic, visualize a concept, or draw a comic. For me, as a science class, I'm making a visual for science, so infographic I feel like is appropriate. I clicked on that. I want you guys to do the same thing. Fill in any of the prompts that it's asking you for, and we'll take a moment to do this. go through the prompts, click generate, or finalize it. For me, it opened up a new window. That's great. We're going to use that in a minute. So just leave it there, okay? Suppose also I mentioned, like, let's skip the alt text. This is actually where you can do that. I suppose I could just real fast say write alt text for the image. There we go. There we go. Okay. Notice that that new window, it brought us to Gemini. So it actually made it pretty easy to have that conversation with Gemini. And that text field at the bottom, if you're in the same place where I am, just real quickly write alt text. You could even say 50 words or less. Do that. All right. Put a pin on this image. We're going to use it. We're going to make a worksheet, good old fashioned handout in a second, okay? Any issues making that visual image, comic, questions, problems? We got 29 minutes left. Give me a thumbs up in the meet if you're ready to move forward. Okay. Looks like most of us consensus have that thumbs up. Turn your mic on if you need to ask. All right. Of course, we can also just find an image online too, right? Through Google Images. But I love that. Like for mine, it's actually pretty good, you know, this infographic. Why I like these. I don't know if you were in my session yesterday. If you were, I was having some real issues with like starting the prompt from the very start, like a naked prompt where I have to create it myself. That's what I love about these Gemini tools is that like kind of there, you know, like it doesn't have, I've never had any problem with the classroom Gemini issues or options. Okay, so let's do this. Let's click on write and information. Okay, so now where am I? I went back to classroom. I've got a couple tabs going so far. Just like we have been doing before, find that fourth link down from the upper left. We'll click on Gemini from that sidebar. And now I want to write some informational text. I want to make a handout that's got some info on it, and then I want to add that image eventually. Okay, so let's click on write informational text, and just like last time, we'll type in what we want. Right? Take a moment, type in your topic that you've been working with. Start clicking the buttons. Then you get to generate. Let it do its magic. Give you guys another 30 seconds, folks out there. All right. For me, like what I like about the Gemini tools too is that it standardizes the format of it. Every single time I've done this in these sessions, it always gives me the same thing, the same output, which is like a good chunk of text. And then there's always these points for reflection or inquiry. And I'm thinking like, okay, those are either my discussion questions. I'm going to do some hand up, stand up, pair up, or I can just turn those into analysis questions and have students type their answers in if I wanted to, right? So notice too, so I scroll down to the bottom. You guys are all there, I'm hoping, right? If not, you can watch my, all right. Easy, right? Google's made this really easy. That's why I love it. All right. So scroll down to the bottom and notice I can add to my class. This could just become like, I don't want them to turn anything in. I just want to make this material. I think I actually, let's click on it. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I can actually turn this into an assignment or material, right? A question, whatever. Notice I can also add it to different classes. But let's actually turn this into a handout, like a good old-fashioned worksheet. So let's click on, instead of clicking on Add to Class, I want you to click on the button next to it, the one that says Export to Docs. I want to put that picture in, the one from earlier. Gives me another tab. Take a look at my Meet visual. Here's what I'm going to do. Everyone's got their own way of making a worksheet. I started to do this with my AP Environmental Science class. I was trying to save paper. I'm like, I don't want to have to make any more paper copies of anything ever again. And like when I first opened up this page here, it's still like the concept of 8.5 by 11-inch piece of paper. I want to turn that off. So take a look what I'll do. And you don't have to do this. It's up to you. In the upper left-hand corner, I'll click on File and then go down to Page Setup. Remember, I'm recording this, and so if you're lost, we're going to try to get this through this quick. I'm just showing you a little personal preference for me. It's not important if you do it or not. I'll click on Pageless, and Pageless takes away the notion of the 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and puts all the text just onto this one flowing page. I think it looks so much prettier. I don't know. And that's just me. Then you don't have problems with like the paragraph that shows up on the second page. You know, I don't know. I'm not going to print it. The kids are just going to type within it. Now what we're going to do is make this worksheet what you like it to be. For me, you know, I stopped caring about the font. I used to be all crazy about fonts, and I just like, it makes it Arial. I'm just going to keep it Arial. Why not? Why do I have to like make it harder? You know, let's select the title. Would you could you say one more time how you did that, please? Sure thing. So I went to from the doc, I clicked on File, I went to Page Setup, all the way down to the bottom, and then I switched it from Pages to Pageless. And please note, I'm recording this, and so you've got that in there if you didn't get it, okay? All right, so I just, like I said, let's take a moment. Let's take 1 or 2 minutes or so. I want you to format your handout exactly how you want it to be, knowing that no one cares about your font, except for you. All right, get rid. I'm sorry, I hope that's not rude. I want to keep it easy. That's where I landed at the end of my 15th year as a teacher. Why am I busting my butt? Like, keep it Arial. No one cares. All right. I like getting rid of, again, personal preference. Maybe like I do have these very specific things that I do like though. Like I hate actually where there's an extra space where somebody clicked enter to make an extra space. You can actually get rid of that extra space and then take a look at my Meet visual. Add a space after the paragraph. Kind of classy. All right. Maybe I am a little fussy. I'm going to, where it says points for reflection and inquiry, I'm just going to change this into analysis questions. Keep it easy, right? Okay. Yeah, and you know what? Let's turn this into, again, we're working on your own, make your own worksheet. I'm showing you what I like to do. All right. It looks like a worksheet. Oh yeah, remember? Look at my Meet visual, yes? Take a look. We created that image earlier. So I want to go to my other tab. Hoping that this is probably too much. Again, if you just got to the point where you made a worksheet, you don't want to put the image in, that's fine. That's up to you. But I'll go over to that image that I created earlier. I can just mouse over this and click on those rectangles again, that copy symbol. Just copy that image. Bingo. Let's paste it. Oh, gosh. Give me a minute. Copy. There it is. That doesn't look like a worksheet. I don't know what does. Looking pretty good. And think about the toner I'm going to save here too. I just was able to put in a color image into what will be a good old-fashioned digital worksheet, and I won't have to waste any paper or toner. And I've got a pretty gorgeous image. All right, again, this is where I start to give you too much. I'm sorry. Just this is for the folks here that are with me, knowing that I'm recording this. I apologize if this is a little too much, but let me just show you real fast since we did it. If you recall, I had AI help me write some alternative text. Alternative text is really important because students who have disabilities might be using a screen reader, and the screen reader comes across an image like this. There's no context. It's like, oh, there's just a picture here. And so if we put alternative text in there, the screen reader now all of a sudden can give context to those students. So let me select that image. Just watch my Meet visual for now, and hopefully we'll get there eventually with all of us. But I'll click on Image Options, and notice that one of my image options here is alternative text. I'll just put in that, or paste in that alternative text. So now I've got something that is a little bit more accessible. Okay, I know that was a lot. I went through a lot. I even have more. So they keep going. 19 minutes. Don't worry, we'll be fine. Okay. Yes, Annie, please.
Perhaps related to what you were just talking about with the alternative text,
Uh,
the words that it generated for the worksheet would be perfect if it was something that I was saying to my first grade students, but it would be too hard for them to read as a digital worksheet they were doing on their own. Is there a way I can select that text and have it rewrite it in a way that would be more accessible to a typical like
yeah.
second semester first grade reader?
I would just ask Gemini to do it. Re-level this alt text for second grade students. And then it will do that. Yeah, if it's creating alt text that is going to be over the heads of the students, then ask AI to do it, or you can also do it yourself, I suppose, too, since you might know your students better. But yeah, there is. I lean into AI for that. And if yeah, you can Dawn, you have to click on the image first. So select the image, then image options should be one of the options in the toolbar towards the top of your screen. All right, guys, and again, I'm recording this. We've got to move on here because we do have 17 minutes. The alt text, that's maybe next level. That's the advanced part of this. It might be, if it's too much, you can skip it for now, although there is a federal law that suggests we can't skip it. We got a year to comply. All right, let's go back to our class. I want to put that doc into yeah, there's a federal law. They've updated the ADA requirements for what our online materials are supposed to look like. All right, so let's do this. Let's go back to our sandbox, folks. We'll be doing some trainings about accessibility in next school year. Let's find that sandbox, and just like we're always on stream, I want you this time click on that other tab, the one that says classwork. Got 16 minutes left here. We're going to get through the stuff. I went back to my classroom, I went to that sandbox. I clicked on classwork. Now we'll click on create. Let's create assignment. And we'll title this. Just title it sample if you want to. or type in the topic or standard, whatever it is you've been working with. Folks, take a look at my Meet screen. This is really important for one of these assignments. This is critical. Otherwise, we made a mistake. You'll have to do it again. I want to find that doc. So come back to my Meet screen for the visual. I'll attach. I created an assignment. Go down to this attach. I want to attach that doc. Yeah, there it is. Click add. Watch what I do. This is going to be really important here. Notice we have file sharing options. Look at my Meet screen for the visual. Right now, if I clicked assign, then students can only just view this file. I want to make a copy for all of my students. That's the whole point. I don't want them to have to go down and make physical paper copies anymore. So select students can view file, and I want to change this to make a copy for each student. If I don't do that part, then there's no point, I guess, to making a digital worksheet, right? Because that now is going to physically create a new copy for each of those students. And what's really cool is that when they turn in their physical copy, their own version of this, their editing rights go away. So they can't keep adding to it. It's kind of like you turn in a physical piece of paper, you can't add stuff to it after the fact. Same thing will happen here with these copies for those students. One of the cool things about Classroom, for sure. Take a look. Also, you're looking at my Meet screen right now, right? So that's critical here, is to change that file sharing option to make a copy for each student. This is where we can add this assignment to all of our different sections. I can select all 3, 4, 5 of my different sections. I can add a cute little due date, sure. Let's do that. That due date shows up in students' calendars, by the way. Critical here, I want to add this to my topic, the one that I made earlier, right? You won't have to do this each time, but you're going to have categories, formative and summative. Pretty cool. So you'll be able to select which category you want that to be, and those categories come from Infinite Campus, by the way. Add a rubric. Yeah, let's check plagiarism. And then just like last time, look at my Meet visual, please. I can click assign and I'm good to go. I can also stagger it, just like I could for those announcements. So I can schedule that due date and even the publish date, which that's actually really awesome, right? That way those high flyer kids that are like, I'm done. Well, class just started. Well, how are you done? You know what I mean. All right. Don't be done. Now I have to go give you more work. Let's see. Oh gosh, now I got to do this for all of them. There we go. Okay. Boom. All right. I'm just trying real fast. Okay. Gosh dang it. Okay. So let me just click assign. So I'm taking way too long to do all of those publish dates and assignment dates and due dates and all that stuff. I just clicked assign and we're good. Question from Kirsten. If you're talking. Oh, she put it into the, will Google block its own Google AI Lens to help them answer the questions? That I'm not sure. I know that the district has looked into like making that stop, and I think that if a student is on a school-owned Chromebook or district-owned Chromebook, then that blockage happens a little bit more readily. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that question though. Yeah, ask Gemini. You know what I mean? It's whenever I don't know the answer to that one of these questions, I might be a question posed to Gemini. Come back and let us know what Gemini says. All right, I know that's not the best answer, but now we're outsourcing questions and answers to AI. Oh my goodness. But I don't know the answer though. And I'm not a Google employee either. So I know that this issue has come up before though, and I feel like we have, school sites have the ability to block that sort of stuff on district owned devices if students are bringing their own MacBook, for example. I don't believe that we have the ability to turn off some of that. But you know, maybe not doing a worksheet is a good idea. Right? If we're concerned about copying and pasting and all that stuff. Let me show you one real fast thing. I know I only have 10 minutes left, but take a look real quick. One of the reasons why I really loved making a copy for each student, look at my Meet visual, please. The version history right up here. So I click on this. This is going to show me all of the keystrokes that anyone that interacted with this doc has made. So if you have a big chunk of text that just magically shows up after, you know, from in 1 second, you can assume the kid used Google Lens and cheated, or went to ChatGPT and copied and pasted, right? The more of these interactions here, like clicking on here, you know, I was copying and pasting myself, but you should see, like, each time I deleted the space in between the paragraphs, every time I type in a word, the more I've interacted, the more I've typed and used my keyboard, the more interactions will show up in this version history. You know, that's not a way to prevent it, but if you tell the kids that, look, I have access to this because this is my doc that you're typing within, and when it comes up, when I think you're cheating, I'm going to look at that version history, and if things magically show up, right, from second to second, then you're cheating, and I'm going to give you 0. Done, right? So anyway, there are some of the ways that we can structure these assignments and provide some of that, those expectations for our students. I think that would be more likely to decrease the use of them using any, if it's not Google Lens, it's going to be ChatGPT, right? If it's not ChatGPT, it's going to be Claude or Gemini itself, right? It's going to always be something. So create that culture in that classroom where we're like, yeah, we've got all of the answers to all of the world's questions at our fingertips. Let's try to learn something here, right? I'm creating that culture. I think is going to be really important moving forward, because it's not just Google Lens, right? All right, we're going to do this real fast. We got 8 minutes. Believe it or not, this is going to have more than enough time to do all of it. Let's create and assign a quiz. I want you to go back to your class, folks. From classwork, from that tab classwork, let's click, oh, you know what, actually, sorry. From classroom, let's go back to Gemini. So classroom.google.com/AI. I'll put the link into the chat. I just got on my soapbox. Spent 2 minutes chatting. All right, we got stuff to do. Let's click on generate quiz. This happens real quick. Just like we've been doing before, type in what you want. About 10 questions or so. Type in the topic, the standard that you've been teaching. So from Gemini in Classroom, fourth link down from the top, we clicked on generate a quiz. You can also look at my Meet screen for the visual if you're not there. Question types at the bottom. I want this to be automatically graded, so I'll use both true, false, and multiple choice. If I wanted to read their answers, their responses, maybe this is a summative and you're incorporating some essays or something like that, add in some shorter long answers, but you'll have to manually grade those. This is a formative. I just want a real quick capture of what students know or not know about my topic. So I'll just choose multiple choice and true, false. We got 6 minutes left. We'll click on generate questions. Look at this. Oh, we got to copy and paste it. No, scroll down to the bottom. We'll click on export. And I'm just going to add this directly to my class. I've vetted it, sure, but to save time here, look, I can export it to docs or forms, and I can look at it beforehand. Let's just click add to class, see what happens. We'll click export at the bottom, add to class. Choose my sandbox. Let's make the classwork type a quiz. And then go through the process here. I just made a real fast formative quiz that's housed within a form, a Google form, that all students will be able to access through my classroom. And just like the announcements and the handout that we created earlier, I can schedule access to this, right? So students third period can't take it first period. I love that. It's like, I don't want to work today. I don't want to do the work today. Really don't want to. Let's do this. We're going to cross our fingers this time and then ask the magic goes. Okay. So yeah, it brings up this panel here. I can check out the quiz if I wanted to. Looks good, right? Guys, I've got 4 minutes left, so I'm just doing this real quick. I want to add it to that topic just like last time. I can choose my different sandboxes, all my different sections, choose my due date, the availability date. I can lock all of that stuff down, scheduling it just like all of the other stuff. I can even add additional items like things for my drive or a YouTube video. And then boom, I've got myself a form quiz. Pretty wild stuff, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm rushing through this. I'm so sorry. How about this? In 4 minutes at the end of the process, I'm going to hang out, answer any questions that you might have, okay? But to respect everybody's time, let's do that last item here. And if you want to, you can just watch. So I'm just going to go back to my sandbox. Go click from stream to classwork. That magic plus create button. I'll click on gem. Watch this. You're like, oh my God, gems. I've got to come up with instructions. I've got to do all this crazy stuff. No, watch. This is amazing. So I'll click on create. The same area to create an assignment, material, quizzes. I'll click on gem. And look at this. I've got these already made gems ready to go. I can choose. Let's choose Quiz Me. This is going to be a gem that will quiz students. And then look, I can choose the source. We'll quiz students based off of, well, in this case, the material found in my handout that we made earlier. Right? If I have like a slide deck, I can also choose that, all that good stuff. Let's click Create Gem. Boom. All right. It's like, are you happy with it? You can look out and check out the instructions. I'll go back to my classroom. Just like everything else, I can choose the different sections that I wanted to add this to. Make sure that I add it as, oops, add it to my correct topic. And there you go. I can schedule that one out too if I wanted to, but hey guys, we got through the whole thing, believe it or not. I know it's a lot of information. I've recorded today's session. It'll take a little processing for Google to send me this recording along with the notes that have been generated. What I do with those notes, by the way, I'll upload them to Gemini. I have Gemini make me a facilitation guide that I'll send out to you guys tomorrow. I'm starting another training at 11:30, like a live face-to-face one. And so some of you were in my session yesterday. I'll be getting to sending out that facilitation guide later today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me get you, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. We got through the whole thing thanks to Gemini. Let's do this. I've got this feedback survey, folks. Make sure it's the right one. It is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys hanging out.